It is Mark Greenstein's time. I am Mark Stewart, and for the first time, I am going to be an analyst. Political science was actually my major 35 years ago in college. So, at the same time, I will obliquely help one Bob Stefanowski, also known as my opponent in the governor's race. I am responding to an interview. Paul Chonier was on the air this morning talking about how Bob needs to reach out, ideologically reach out to voters beyond hardcore Republicans. It's an important concept, and here's the problem. Bob can't reach very far. He can't. Traditional Democrats are so dug in that even if Bob became Mother Teresa, they still don't pull the lever for anyone associated with Trump. And Bob hurt himself 5 weeks ago after he won that Republican primary, embraced Trump throughout, and then here he went again, wholehearted, Trump's great. Look, the problem with the Trump embrace is that Connecticut voters are largely thoughtful. The independents certainly are. And it's impossible to be 100% Trump if you're true, okay? If you're scripted, if you're posturing, okay, that's the way your handlers have asked you to go. But hint, handlers don't help anymore. This is a candidate who will never bring on handlers. I have learned enough from the last really 12 years of presidential politics that handlers are not helpful. Bob maybe can be his own man and probably is a lot more thoughtful about a mercurial president who deserves some shades, okay? At times, very good. I happen to like Mr. Trump on foreign policy thus far. I like his forcefulness. We need that. I don't like many things about his performance in the White House, and yes, there's domestically performance, and yes, the odious things from outside the White House. It is shades. If you're a candidate who doesn't present that there are shades, you look scripted. We're tired of that. So that means Bob loses the cerebral middle voters. All candidates for office have a cap short of 100%. A cap above which some people will never vote for you. Bob's actually, I think, is the lowest. I think he's capped at 45%. I think there are 55% of Connecticut voters who are never going to vote for Republican Bob Stefanowski. And that means 45% is his cap. That's if things go perfectly. That's if Rod and Oz and I are totally muzzled and you end up with just a two-person race. Bob's cap is winnable. There have been candidates at 45% victors. Lowell Weicker got only 40%. Bob himself got only 29% in a five-way primary. So I'm not saying it's an automatic loser. But Ned's cap is not that low. I know that there are some Republicans who won't vote for Bob and find a moderate acceptable even if he wears a D label. And Ned Lamont has been sounding fiscally decent, okay? He's not Dan Malloy. Yet, that's how GOP handlers want to paint him. When you think through that the handlers are posturing, then you might realize Ned's cap is probably 70%. Yes, there are 30% hardcore that will never vote for a liberal member of the Democrat Party. There's a candidate who I think has a cap that's in the 90s, and you're looking at him. I am a Democrat, yet I'm also a conservative. I embrace what most Connecticut voters want to hear, and they haven't had a candidate like that. So once better known, Connecticut voters are going to like what they see. In Mark Stewart, they have a candidate who is fiscally tight, because it's your money, who is socially permissive, because the government screws up almost everything. We don't need them in our lives. So there's still probably 2 to 10% who are never going to vote for me either. I characterize them as the hardcore social conservative. They can't stand my willingness to legalize victimless crimes, okay? I don't want to be putting women in jail who make money using their bodies. I don't want to mess the lives of adults who want to buy, sell, ingest marijuana, harmless weed, not sell to kids, but just to themselves. I want to butt out. I'm the candidate who says fight real crime. And I think most voters embrace that. I would go hard after cybercrime, which affects almost everyone. If you have a computer that's been shut down due to ransomware, if you have a credit card that has had to be compromised, it's because we don't fight cybercrime enough. We're starting a Cybercrime Institute here in Connecticut. We're going to detect, root out, and hopefully bring those guys to justice. There's an appealing message here to progressives. It's a message that people who think government is too big end up feeling that you could use smaller government. That's a different message than you hear from leading Democrat candidates. But smaller government actually get the things that progressives really want. Government becomes less of an impediment. Government becomes less tied to big interest. Government becomes an instrument of doing well efficiently when it's small. Cut the size, let government do the things that it does well. And look how that affects CBEC. I am now the one candidate left who actually would keep CBEC intact. I honor promises for one, and I look to this as an opportunity. Unions have had not just a command now from the Supreme Court. They have to do some reform. I encourage this kind of reform. Separate your good workers from your incorrigibly bad ones. Okay? Do not let the over and over weak workers drag you down. I, with that kind of separation, want to hire you and pay you more. I want you to be helping the state of Connecticut the way your mission entails, and here's how you get paid more. Because you help in other realms. We could be servicing other states that are even more corrupt than ours. New York and Rhode Island could offload some work to good bureaucrats here that show a lean, mean approach, that we save them money. For Connecticut, they make us money. CBAC, therefore, can thus stay in place. I'm not going to use a government bludgeon. I'm not going to turn to the courts as all those Republican candidates in the primaries wanted to do. Among themselves, I should say, members of unions can peel themselves off for certain things. Not everything. Union is very good for worker safety, probably for ensuring higher pay. But it shouldn't be in the business of healthcare. People can do that themselves better. It shouldn't be in the business of retirement savings. People can do that, many of them, themselves better. Don't use unions beyond their best function. And with that, let private enterprise and semi-private steering, like I will be providing, raise your pay, take you from being less restricted in your work, and make you happier. I'm Mark Greenstein. I'm looking out for the happiness of everyone in Connecticut. Thanks for your attention.